You've been there. You click a button and crickets. Nothing happens. Or even worse, the app just completely crashes right as you're about to save your masterpiece. It's so frustrating, right? But what if I told you there's a blueprint, a kind of secret recipe that developers use to stop all that chaos before it even starts?
I mean, we live in this age of incredible technology, so why does it feel like our digital tools are sometimes held together with duct tape? Why do these annoying bugs still slip through, even in the apps we use every day from the biggest companies on the planet?
Well, the answer isn't some super complex algorithm or a piece of futuristic AI. It's actually a surprisingly simple but incredibly powerful document called a test case. This is the real unsung hero of the software world, that detailed script that makes sure everything works exactly the way it's supposed to.
So, let's dive in. We're going to go on a little journey from those frustrating bugs to these flawless blueprints. We're going to see exactly how the best teams turn all that potential for chaos into absolute crystal clarity.
Okay, so it all starts with this simple hierarchy. First up, you've got the user story, and that's just a simple, plain English way of saying what you, the user, want to do. From that, testers create a test scenario, which is kind of the big picture idea of what to test. But the crucial piece, the real secret sauce, is the test case. That's the super detailed step-by-step instruction manual on how to test it.
You know, to make this really stick, think of it like building a house. Your wish, hey, I want a really sunny kitchen, that's the user's story. The architect's overall blueprint for the house, that's the test scenario. But the nitty-gritty, page-by-page instructions for the builder, lay this foundation, use these specific nails right here, that is the test case.
All right, so now that we get the what and the why, let's pop the hood and actually look inside one of these things. What makes a test case tick? Let's deconstruct the blueprint. At its very core, a test case is just that, a script. It's a clear set of instructions written for a tester to follow. The goal is to verify that one single specific feature, like a login button or a search bar, is working perfectly. No room for guesswork, no ambiguity. Just a script.
Let's look at a real-world example for a super simple login test. First, you've got the test case ID, TC_001. That just gives it a unique name so we can track it. The scenario tells us our goal, verify the login. The precondition sets the stage. Basically, you need a registered user to even start this test. Then come the simple test steps. Open the page, type in the right info, click the button. And then, here it is, the most important part, the expected result. This is the definition of success. If the user isn't sent to the dashboard, the test fails. It's that black and white.
Okay, so the theory makes sense. But how do you actually write one of these? Let's shift gears from theory into action and walk through the practical steps for creating your very own test case.
It's a pretty straightforward 6-step process. First, you review everything you've got, the user stories, the design mockups, all of it. Then you pinpoint exactly what you're going to be testing. Step 3 is key. Define the successful outcome, what should happen. Next, you create your test data, and that means both valid data and invalid data. We'll get to why that's so important in just a second. Then you write the actual steps, and finally, and please don't skip this one, you get a peer to review it. Having a second pair of eyes is an absolute lifesaver for catching things you might have missed. Now, following those steps will get you a good test case, for sure. But if you want to write a truly brilliant one, you need to shift your mindset a little. You have to start thinking like a tester. And that means going way beyond the happy path, where everything works just perfectly. This brings us to two sides of the same coin, positive and negative testing. Positive testing is the obvious one. It asks, does this work when it's supposed to? You give it the right password and you expect to log in. Easy. But negative testing, this is where the real work is. It asks, does it break gracefully when it's not supposed to work? What happens when you put in the wrong password? Does the whole app crash, or do you get a helpful little error message? So this really boils down to 3 key mindsets. You've got your positive test, use the right password. Your negative test, use the wrong one. And then there's the boundary test. This is where you test the absolute edges. If a password has to be between 8 and 20 characters, you test one with exactly 8 and one with exactly 20. You would be absolutely shocked how many systems break right at those boundaries. This is really the core philosophy of great quality assurance. It's not just about proving that the software works. It's about proving it can handle being used incorrectly without just falling apart. A good test case covers not just what should work, but also what shouldn't.
So why on earth would you go through all this meticulous, detailed work? What's the real payoff here? Well, it's about so much more than just catching bugs. It's about building trust. It's about saving time, money, and protecting a company's reputation.
When you write great test cases, the benefits just ripple outwards. You guarantee every single requirement gets tested. You make your tests repeatable and consistent no matter who's running them. You create the perfect foundation for automation scripts down the line. And this is a huge gift to developers. When a bug is found, you have a perfect recipe to reproduce it, which saves them hours of frustrating work. It's basically living documentation for the entire team.
So remember, this is not about filling out forms or creating more paperwork. This whole process, from that first user story to the final test, it's all about a deep commitment to quality. It's about building software that's reliable, dependable, and ultimately earns the trust of the people who use it every single day.
And that kind of leaves us with one final thought. Think about the apps on your phone, the software you use for work. What's one feature you use constantly that just works flawlessly every single time? Whether it's your banking app's login or a simple undo button, I can promise you its reliability is no accident. It's the direct result of a very well-written test case.